Hi, my name is Susan Janevsky. I'm a naturopath, homeopath and health ambassador, and I feel very privileged to be speaking to you today and speaking about perimenopause, my perimenopause and my menopause, because I can share with everyone that I had a smooth run only because I prepared myself and lived through menopause knowing that I can do this. And what I'm going to inspire each of you today is to take full charge of your menopause time, because it's a special time in your life. It doesn't need to be overrun by hot flushes, poor sleep, putting on weight, dehydrated skin, low mood. I'm living proof that you can get through this. So for myself, my cycle started leaving me. So I had every few months I'd have a cycle when I turned 50. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared and never came back. And I said to my friends, my cycle never said goodbye to me. I had it for so many years, which really added to me being a woman. Then it had gone. And with that came soon after that, I started to experience some sore joints, and I quickly took stock of this, thinking, oh, I must be doing too many runs or walking too much. But I realised that it was all about this new set of me that I needed to take care of, and I activated that plan from the day or from the week that my cycle just disappeared. It never came back. It was like my friend that never spoke to me again. So I wondered, what would I do? How would I feel? So after that, for a few months, I wondered, will my cycle come back to me? What will it do? And so forth. But when it didn't, I realised I needed to totally reset what I was doing. And I found that I was experiencing quite a lot of sugar cravings. I also found that my mood, I didn't really feel totally comfortable in my own mindset. So I started to engage into mindfulness, and I started adding a walking meditation daily in during my walks. I also found that I started being more aware of the sugar that I was adding into my life, and the minute I gave up sugar, I found I started to sleep better and feel better. I also started taking evening primrose oil back then, and I started to feel more hydrated on many levels. But at this time, I still didn't realise this was my menopause that was adding to all this. This was my menopause that was preventing me from sleeping well, from my skin looking and feeling drier. I also started craving a lot more salt, and I started to lose some of my hair, and I really realised that at this time I need to take full charge, because something was happening in my body that I wasn't in control of. And you know, you are in control of your hormones. Don't ever think there's something running in your body that you cannot control. There are amazing herbs that you can actually take as a woman during your perimenopausal time and your menopause time, that can actually activate and bring you back to yourself. And you know, I understand when a woman says, I'm experiencing the worst hot flushes, I hate my hormones. I have some of my clients say, they also say, look at me now, I've put on so much weight in my belly. But you can change all that, and that's what I've done. I lived through my menopause happier than the decade before, because I made sure I took charge of everything that was happening within me, from the way I ate, to the way I slept, to the amount of exercise, to being more mindful of the hydration. I also, I used to have more than one coffee. I limited to having a coffee every day or every second day. There are triggers during that menopausal phase that I realised I had to delete in order to replenish myself. And as a menopausal woman, I activated myself so I could reboot my life. What if I said to each of you that menopause is a time as a woman to reboot yourself, to reclaim yourself, to step into the woman that you were born to be? What if I said that your menopause is the gift that you're given because of these amazing hormones that are floating in you? What if I said that your hormones are going to provide you with a signature for the rest of your life? So when we look at menopause, I want you all to determine what's happening within your mind and body. Go for a checkup, get your health, go and have a full blood test, see what your iron levels, see what your vitamin D is doing, see what your liver function is, see where your hormones are at. If you're still having a cycle and you feel that you're in menopause, menopause is having no cycle for more than a year. So if you're still bleeding, it means you're not into your menopause. Keep a calendar. When was the last time you had a cycle? That's what I did. And you really become aware, because we've got so much going on as women and we become a lot busier. And what happens during menopause, we feel overwhelmed. And for some of you who are experiencing hot flushes, one hot flush is all it takes to derail you. So take full stock. We also need to become more aware that we need more vitamin D in our part of our regime, because our bones need to, with calcium being so important, to be absorbed so we can have stronger bones. We need to do a lot more exercise, which is strengthening for our bones, and that's what changes. We are changing as women when we are in our menopausal phase. It's not worse, it's not bad, it's not to be sad about. It's a new activation point. So there are things that you can do. We can do, but I now do bone strengthening exercise. I do weights. I never used to do them, but I started doing them when I stepped into my menopause. I also realised I started putting on weight around my belly, and that's called the midlife weight gain, which is really related to aging in our lifestyle. We need to turn it up a notch. I started becoming more dedicated to becoming more aware to doing at least 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day. That was a conscious effort that I realised I was feeling sluggish. I didn't want to wake up and do my exercise. That was that mood, that was that mindset that I had to take full stock. And because I knew that if I didn't do any exercise and I didn't change my eating, and that's when I said to each of you about the sugar and the processed foods, and I also felt that when I ate fried food, I felt fried. When I ate processed foods, I felt processed. And I realised that my abdominal fat, if it continued, it wasn't so much that my jeans felt tight when I put them on, it was the fat underneath my skin that was my concern, because that could lead, I realised, to heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes. So I took stock of that, and I can honestly say that I am lighter today than I was a decade ago, and that's because I took stock of what was happening. And menopause, with the hormones changing, does make it harder to lose weight. So I knew what was on my plate, added to my walking, was going to be the difference for me to live in this difference. I was not going to be a victim in menopause. I was going to be a happy survivor during menopause. Yes? And I also found one of the reasons I knew I was going into menopause was my sleep. I couldn't sleep. I just would lie awake. And I thought, what on earth is happening? And I never looked good in the morning because I had bags. And I thought, I better take charge of this. So I started taking some herbs that changed that gave me that cycle. So the REM cycle of 16 hours awake, 8 hours sleep, and that were melatonin supporting herbs that really gave me back what I was missing, and I felt like myself again. So menopause for some of you may just be sleepless nights. If you're having more of them, now of course you're going to have, if you're having a hot flush, that's going to exacerbate your sleepless nights. So hot flashes, as you say in Canada, are very much linked to your menopause, your hormones changing. But rather than saying, I hate them, let's do something about them. Well, I did something about my sleep. I took charge of my sleep. I made sure that I didn't answer an email, take my phone to bed. I stopped looking at my phone at 8 p.m. I made sure that I did some stretches before I went to bed. I made sure, and I still do, listen to a meditation. I keep a gratitude journal at night where I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. And I also plan my day, the day at night, by little points to say this is what I'll do tomorrow, so I don't feel overwhelmed. So make sure that the room that you're sleeping in doesn't have a television, because that in itself is not conducive to a good night's sleep. Don't eat heavy meals at night. At that time, I also found that kefir, which I learned about when I was living in Canada, really helped me sleep well, because that was a great probiotic, but it was also protein, and by adding more protein in the evening, even during supper, I was able to sleep better. And a lot of women don't sleep well because they don't have enough protein in their diet. And this is what my message to each woman is: have a checklist. Meat isn't the only level of protein. There's cottage cheese, there's kefir, there's vegetables, there's protein powders, and we need to have protein with every meal. I'm vegetarian, so I had to really become more aware of how on earth I was going to build my protein. Well, my protein has added to my collagen levels, to my connective tissue, and everything about me, my hair, my skin, my nails. Now, I can honestly say that by turning up a notch on my well-being, I didn't go through menopause migraines that a lot of women that I see go through. I made sure that my magnesium was in check. It's one of the key minerals that as we enter menopause that we need. And magnesium has 320 jobs in our body. And what we need to always remember is, what are our joints feeling like? What are are we cramping? If we're not sleeping well, check in with yourself. Ask yourself a question. Have a checklist. I had a checklist. I used to even speak to my bones. I used to speak to my everything about me, and you probably think, why would you do that? Because unless we become aware of what's going on, no one else will know what's going on. I know some people think that there's a magical ingredient or a pill that you can just take and these menopausal symptoms will just go away. It doesn't work like that. Menopause is your educator. Menopause is your inspiration. Menopause is what's going to give you the ability to make that positive shift in your life. You can have a positive menopausal phase in your life. I also found that, what do I do for urinary incontinence? As we go through our menopause, what happens is the estrogen drops. We're more prone to have urinary incontinence during menopause and beyond, because we need to improve our pelvic floor, but also we need to become more aware that this is a time where we need to have great urinary tract hygiene, and this is where I started drinking cranberry juice, but also I found certain exercises helped me with my pelvic floor in that, and I always became more aware. I also found that using a feminine moisturiser that was water-based has really added to the moisture in that area around my vaginal wall, because we do become dehydrated. Our skin becomes dehydrated. Everything about us starts drying out. That doesn't mean we need to live with wrinkled skin or experiencing a lot of UTIs. But if you start doing exercises for your urinary, for your pelvic floor. I started making sure that I drank enough water. And it's not that you're going to like the taste of water. Water is so important. I also drink herbal teas, which count like drinking water as well. So the more hydrated you are, the more lubricated you are. I also made sure that I started looking after my skin a lot more than when I was, before I even entered perimenopause and as a younger woman. I realised that if I didn't do anything about my skin, it would just it started to feel dry during my menopausal phase. And this is a time where you need to activate what you're doing and putting on your skin. I started becoming more aware of every ingredient in my skincare, every ingredient in my shampoo, because I realised everything that was coating my body was also going into my bloodstream. And I found that by I needed to also use serums to keep my skin as moist and as elastic. I had to also put a lot more moisturiser on, and I can honestly say today, after taking better care of my hands, I think I started looking after myself even more during my menopausal years, because I found that I wanted to still have the most beautiful hands, the most beautiful feet, the most beautiful skin on my neck. You know, I found that my skin wasn't as plump as it used to be, and there are so many natural ingredients that you can actually, and serums that you can actually add to your skin that will brighten your skin like you were when you were 30. So nothing needs to change because you're going through menopause except the care that you give yourself. And I can honestly say that I started taking extra care of myself during my menopausal time, and I realised that that was the foundation that allowed me to be who I am on a day-to-day basis and live through my menopause in a happy way rather than a sad way. We have no time as menopausal women for sadness. Life gets busier, everything becomes complicated, but menopause doesn't need to be complicated. It's just a part of who we are. Just fine-tune your hormones, start taking better care of what you're eating, the exercise, hydration, but also it's about taking full responsibility of the woman that lives within you every day during that menopausal phase. So I invite each of you to take charge today and to have the best menopausal time in your lives. Thank you.